I've been needing to find a new apartment, which has not been easy with credit as bad as mine. Luckily, I found cosigning.com. They connected me with a cosigner who helped me get my dream apartment for me and my dog. I just paid a small fee and was able to move in fast. Get the cosigner you need for the apartment you want. Check out cosigning.com today.
You know, it's amazing to me how many people, men, are pretending they think that Shannon Sharpe is guilty of something as if they have not went through this themselves falsely, and that they, as if they won't be going through it again in the near future. Haven't you all noticed that every week of every month, there's a new man who is famous, who's notoriety with money, and just a literally blitzkrieg of allegations, a bombardment of someone saying something about you? You know, the beautiful thing about these allegations is that the person making them can never prove them, but you also cannot disprove them. The reason they don't like Shannon Sharpe is because he kept receipts. And also he does something called doing the RICO, which is one of my techniques, is you record everything. You record the sex, you record conversations. It's just a part of you keeping track of your life, but also in case somebody ever tries to come back and say that you said or did something to them that was wrong. You always want to have receipts. The times we're in right now, living in the United States, are very dangerous for men with money. And it's also dangerous for men without money. Just because you don't have $100 million deal on the table and you're making 85 a year doesn't mean that the woman you're sleeping with right now can't come up with an allegation after she finds out you're cheating and go public, make a video, accuse you of some stuff, and now that $85,000 a year job you have is gone. Maybe you have kids. Maybe they want more money in child support. Maybe they want full custody. So they make up something about you that you can't really fight, because how do you fight something that didn't happen, that this person didn't have to prove happened in the first place? The marriage rates and the birth rates are going to continue to drop until these laws change. If there's a silent movement of men who don't want to waste our time arguing with bitter older women on the internet about the moves we're going to make to protect ourselves. I know more than I thought, men that are actually now getting married and having children, which is what most of us were born to do anyway, because we're straight. We wanted a wife, we wanted children, we wanted a family. The United States is a trap now to even try to have that for yourself. It doesn't make any sense. So a lot of people that I know and people that I don't know are now going overseas to other countries to have children. Why? Why can't we have children and have a family in our own home country? Why do we have to travel abroad? Well, it's the laws. And this will continue to happen. Shannon Sharpe is just a flavor of the week. There will be a new flavor in the next couple of weeks. Shannon Sharpe, if he wants to survive this, just take notes from Academics, the other podcaster, which he does. Academics has had several allegations of assault and rape and attacking and all kinds of crazy shit comes up to Alex, and he loses contracts, but you can't fire a man who doesn't work for you. Shannon Sharpe did the smartest thing he could do, which was he's left ESPN, but he still has Club Shay Shay, he still has Nightcap. He can still get in front of a camera, talk about sports, make jokes, and people will follow him. He doesn't need ESPN. ESPN needs him. The smart thing to do is be independent. That way, no one can hang your history, your past, your current. Nobody can hang anything over your head. Men are infallible. None of us are without discretions. Men have made mistakes. Men have histories. And somebody you've cut off financially is always going to be bitter and upset. It's happened to me. It just happened to one of my good friends. You have to know how to deal with it. The way it works right now in the United States, women have three. This is going to go one of three ways going forward. Now, I've been teaching and talking to men about this for years. I'm going to share it with you guys in the general public. Let's talk about it. The first method of extortion for women is you signing a bad contract with her, aka marriage. I tell men who are thinking about getting married, look at that woman that you love and imagine her suing you in a few short years. That is going to be the person that you've opened up to and you've given your heart to. They're going to take everything you've ever disclosed to them and they're going to use it against you. And if you try to do the same in return to her, she will claim to be a victim of mental abuse, verbal abuse, even if it wasn't physical. Say you're not dumb enough to sign a marriage contract with her, which is where a lot of men are nowadays. A lot of us aren't doing a marriage in the United States. So like you're like Shannon Sharpe. You have money, but you still have a sex life. You want to have sex with beautiful women. That's the whole purpose of working and making money in the first place. But then eventually, after that last nut, you're just like, you know what? I really don't want this vagina anymore. I've already had it every way from Sunday. I'm kind of done. I don't have to take her out for $1,000 dinners and take her to clubs and buy bottles for her. Why would I do that for her when there's a brand new chick that looks just like her that I've never had before that's begging me to come deal with her? Well, now these women they want access to that money, but she couldn't convince you to get her pregnant. If you look at this girl, Zuniga's text messages to him, she said she wanted baby gravy inside of her. He's thinking maybe she has a breeding fetish. No, my friend. That's the only other level of extortion that women have had for the past, 2 millennia that human civilization on earth has existed. Men have had two reasons to take care of women since the beginning of time. You've either married her and she became your responsibility. Her family turned her over to you as basically, anything goes wrong with her, you're responsible. She's your wife. She's your woman. She's basically a child that's just older that you have sex with. Or so you either marry her, she becomes your responsibility, or she gets pregnant by you. And nowadays, women don't even want to work when they have kids. As soon as they get pregnant, they think you have money, they retire. They quit working. They don't want to do anything now. They just want to live life on easy mode. They have a term nowadays. It's called soft life. But you have to con or trick a man into getting you pregnant. And you know it's a con and a trick because, well, he didn't marry you and he refuses to give you more than one kid. That means he didn't want the first one. So those have been the two methods women have had since the beginning of time to trap men and force us to share our resources with them and take care of them. She becomes your wife. Well, marriage is a relatively new. So let's just say here, she gets pregnant by you. You take care of her and the child. A recent is the whole marriage contract. And that is also, those are the only two ways that you can finesse somebody into taking care of you and giving you money for free. And you get to kind of just stay home. Now, if a man can control his semen and he refuses to sign a contract with you for marriage, and then he breaks up with you, what do? Then what does she do? The truth of the matter is that they're not realizing is that these women really don't have a choice. See, the money is addictive. The lifestyle is addictive. But I tell you this, I'd rather be in Shannon Sharpe's shoes today being sued, knowing that I could defend myself in court against the allegations, than be in Amon Shumpert's shoes, the woman that you married and had children with, decides to destroy you in a divorce. Then publicly talk about getting her bag blown out on the internet to her fans who know you and know you and her were together maybe 8 months ago. Now she's bragging about fucking some African actor and getting her bag blown out and take you to the cleaners. Unfortunately for men, we can't defend ourselves in a divorce. And they have a such thing called no fault divorce. And depending on what state you live in, you're doomed either way. So when I say a woman has to trick you or finesse you or con you into marrying her and signing one of those contracts, and really it is under duress when you sign those marriage contracts, because a lot of these times women are threatening to leave you if you don't marry her soon. And a lot of us men are codependent. You know, life as a man is very cold. It's very lonely. We don't get to live in the clouds or live in our heads like women do. We actually have to be out here in the real world. Women manipulate us to survive, but we actually have to go out there and work to provide for ourselves. Women just have to find one of us and latch on to. Being codependent, when someone's threatening to take away from you pretty much your only solid foundation that you have besides work, it puts you into a corner, and then the fear of going back into the dating market and meeting somebody else, and then you're telling yourself and everyone else is telling you that if it's not her, the next woman's not going to be any different than her. It's just going to be the same thing, the same risk, and you fall for it. Or you think she's going to start having sex with somebody else and you want to stop her. So you think a ring and a marriage license will do that. And it won't. It just delays it. It even delays it. Now, you come to people like Sharpe. He was smarter than the average bear. He didn't marry the girl. He didn't get her pregnant, even though she begged him to. What these women have to do next is the only option they have. They have to accuse you of something abusive. It's been happening to every single man who's not married. Soon as you, because think about it, if you're not with her no more, you're taking your money and your resources away. The only other option she has to have access to your resources is she has to put a claim and she has to put a charge against you. Now, in a case like Shannon Sharpe, there was nothing to do with the police because he didn't commit a crime. This is somebody who's making up stories about abuse, but again, he has text messages, and he does what I do. He keeps records. Let's read some of them. And this is the crazy part. I have friends who I talked to today who didn't even know about all this. This is from Zuniga. I want you to put a dog collar around my neck, and I want you to choke me with it while you're fucking me. I thought her whole spiel was she doesn't want to be choked, and he's choking her against her will. But right here in the messages, she's literally requesting to be choked. This case is already dismissed. It's already done. There is nothing else to even talk about. Why this is dragging on is because, well, Mr. Sharpe has competition in his ex-athlete podcast or host space. Now, the rest of this stuff in this message doesn't mean much. I just want to refute the charges that are really the ones that were, that seem like he did something wrong to her. She specifically requested to be choked. So that's out of the way. Why is this dragging on? Well, he has competition. This guy.
Sharpe announced yesterday that he would be stepping away from ESPN and ESPN's First Take, my daytime job, at least until the NFL preseason, sometime later on this summer. As you may recall, a lawsuit was filed against Shannon on Sunday by a woman using the name Jane Doe, or using a Jane Doe pseudonym. The 13-page civil complaint filed in Nevada alleged that Shannon Sharpe committed assault, sexual assault, battery, and sexual battery. Shannon and his attorneys responded with evidence of the relationship being, quote unquote, consensual. And Jane Doe's attorney, Tony Busby, responded by releasing audio of an alleged conversation between his client and Shannon. For those that don't know, Tony Busby is the same attorney that filed the lawsuit against Jay-Z and Diddy, alleging they both sexually assaulted a minor, which has since been withdrawn. Jay-Z has now countersued Busby. Needless to say, the headlines this week took on a life of their own, and as a result, Shannon announced he was stepping away from ESPN.
An extremely smart move. Again, they need him more than he needs them. Now, let's go ahead and talk about dynamics. And when people were playing this video for me right here.
Yes.
Well, I don't know why you want to go out.
Don't worry about it yet.
Well, okay.
Okay, what?
I'm not really interested in getting choked, so I guess we're going.
I might choke you in public.
I've been in one of these relationships before, unfortunately, a few times, with women who demand rough sex. They demand to be slapped, choked, urinated on. And I'm talking, this is way after the R. Kelly stuff. It's 2025. And there are still women that I meet that if you scratch the surface and you talk to them a little bit, they want to get peed on. But nobody wants to talk about that because it's easier to pretend that men are just brutal beasts just out here roaming around, snatching and choking and raping. Man, get the fuck out of here. With this much to lose, and even with nothing to lose, we don't have to do that. And we don't care to do that. We don't need to feel powerful. That's not what makes men feel powerful, is dominant. You guys watch too many movies. That's not realistic. It's not common, and it doesn't happen like that. In this situation, he is in a dom/sub relationship, but he's new to it, obviously, and he doesn't necessarily know how to handle himself in those situations. I know this because I used to sound like Sharpe my first time around. I know what she told me she wanted me to say and how she wanted things to be when we talked to each other. I wasn't good with it. I sounded awkward. He sounds awkward. He's, how old is he? And he's probably, this is probably the first time he's actually had a woman tell him some crazy shit like this. Let's think about it. What type of relationship are you in when a woman is requesting you put a fucking dog collar around her throat? You think that's normal? No. She wants to be dominated. She wants you to be the man, dominate her. You're the dom. She wants to be submissive. She wants you to force her to be submissive. Do you know how extreme it is for somebody to ask you to put a dog? Not somebody asking you to do anal or something like that. No. She wants to, she wants you to wear it. She wants to wear a dog collar. Now that's different than you going to Fascinations or going to a sex shop and you guys get like a little toy and you put it in her underwear and you connect it to the Wi-Fi and you buzz her clitoris. This is different. My nigga, she wants you to go to PetSmart. And a woman's asking you to go to PetSmart, put a dog collar on her, and fucking and you guys are sitting here talking about Shannon Sharpe like he's some kind of animal. He's not. This is the beauty. Nobody in the public sphere is buying it anymore. We just saw Busby lose. I'm talking Busby was talking big shit. Busby was talking greasy. He said Jay-Z's going down. He's evil. He does rape. Him and Diddy was just tag teaming little kids and high five. All turned out to be bullshit. Thrown out. And Busby is being sued. In my opinion, Busby, if he can get a little bit of money from Shannon, maybe he can break even and use those funds to pay off this Jay-Z lawsuit. The problem is he was not expecting these men to fight back. For one thing, Unc is not a soft. Okay, you might look at him and think he's a soft target. What you don't understand is what makes a man a soft target is embarrassment. For one thing, the hardest part, okay, when you're targeting a man that's married and you're threatening to go public with embarrassing news about infidelity, it's not necessarily he's embarrassed, but the fact is his wife and his kids are going to be embarrassed. So you know what those men do? Capitulate and they settle. Shannon Sharpe might seem just like some country nigga from the sticks, and he don't seem that bright. And that's why people see him as a soft target. But remember, he doesn't have a wife to shame. He doesn't have a wife in his ear telling him to make it go away. All the girls down at the spa and all her family friends are complaining. He doesn't have that in his ear. So he's not necessarily a soft target. He's actually a harder target than other men. So what Shannon can do is Shannon has all the time in the world. He can fight. And it's not really a fight. Let her fight with the evidence. Present the text messages, present the video, unedited, show what was going on. This is not really a case. It's unfortunate, though. He's going to spend $1 million on lawyer fees fighting this. And then, of course, he lost $100 million deal. Big whoop. There will be another company that will offer him another $100 million in a few months. Big deal. Once this is over, or guess what? He stays independent. He earns that much just off of Spotify, YouTube, and the other platforms combined, and then nobody can threaten to take anything from him. That's the beauty of all this. It's really just free advertisement for Shannon Sharpe. Remember when somebody leaked that sex tape on accident or whatever? They thought that was going to destroy him. If you thought, okay, if you're listening to that man, that old man have sex, if that didn't destroy him, then a beautiful young little white chick talking about put a dog collar around my neck and choke me, her coming out saying that she's abusive, obviously that's nonsense. This definitely is not going to destroy this man if him huffing and puffing didn't destroy him. This is child's play. This is actually just publicity for him. Tony Busby just did Shannon Sharpe a favor, but also these other men, he did them a huge favor as well. This is going to keep happening. The media is teaching women to target men with money, especially black men, because they're seen as, for one thing, black people have this thing in their minds that the whole country and the whole world is against them. So if you come at a black person and you threaten them with police, or you threaten to sue them, or you threaten to expose, they're already thinking everybody's against them. They're all talking about racism, and they have like this mental illness. So because of that, most of them are gonna fold and say, okay, what do you want? You know, it's funny to see Shaq talking about him. Shaq is one of the people that was actually offering money if anybody had any dirt on Shannon Sharpe, because apparently Shaq was passed over for that $100 million deal for Shannon Sharpe. So they skipped over. I guess it was between Shaq and Sharpe, and they went with Sharpe. You know, there's rumors right now that Shaq is still paying thousands a month to different women who he was sleeping with back when he played for the Phoenix fucking Suns. All those stories I'll be honest with you, these stories are true. It's called extortion. When it's you and a woman alone, and you guys have sex, she can tell you she loves you, kiss you on the cheek, you guys hug, and she says goodbye to you. You could call an Uber for her. While the Uber's taking her home, she can say, excuse me, driver, do you mind making a stop for me? And the driver's like, sure, where you want to go? Guess what she can say? The hospital. You guys just had a wonderful night, wonderful dinner, sex, everything was great. She can still go to the hospital afterwards, cry, and say, you know what, I want to do a kit for grape. Automatically, they're going to call law enforcement. You're thinking, you're none the wiser. You're on with your life. You're working. You're going to get some, probably go get some breakfast. You're talking to your significant other. 3-4 days later, you get a knock on your door. Well, first you get a phone call, private number. You don't answer. Detective. And then eventually they come knock on your door, whatever address they have on you. No official charges have been made, just an allegation. They're doing an investigation. Then a lawyer contacts you. The lawyer is representing whoever this woman is that you were just seeing and slept with. And her story of the events from the previous night you guys were together differed from yours. You guys said you had a wonderful, nice, calm evening by the fireplace. You made love. You watched TV. She said you held her hostage, beat her, choked her, raped her in every orifice she has. She's damaged. She's injured. You're an animal. And the lawyers are saying, look, we'll talk to your lawyers. We can work out something. Maybe this doesn't have to be criminal. Maybe we don't have to go to the police. You don't got to register as an offender. People are like, why would Shannon Sharpe give this girl $10 million? Listen, the allegations alone can destroy your name, whether they're true or not. Just Kobe was accused. People to this day still call Kobe a rapist because the girl at the front desk snuck up to his room in the middle of the night and gave him all that work. And when she got caught cheating by her boyfriend, she accused him of the grape. The allegations alone will make you want to just make it go away. And when you start doing a cost analysis, you're thinking, okay, I'm scheduled to make 100 million more. That'll be off the table if this comes out. Maybe I'll offer her a percentage of that, 10%. That way I can keep 90 and keep my name. This girl was greedy. That doesn't mean he was paying her because he was guilty. He wanted to pay her because he was innocent. You know, I just had a friend of mine, right? And I'm not going to say his name, but he was just in Vegas a couple months ago. Similar situation happened. He got extorted, and the girls were clever. This is what they did. So he's at a club, in a casino, and you know, people think he's a ball player. So, you know, some chicks were over there talking to him. They have drinks, and then they were like, "Well, let's go back to your room." And he's thinking, "Score! I got 2 hot girls want to come back to my room. You know, I'm that guy, right? You know, let's go. Okay, cool. Let's go back to the room." Get back to the room. They you know, he got a drink. They make some drinks. They're talking, and then the girls are like, "Okay, well, you know, so you know, you want to have a threesome?" And he's like, "The lights are still on." I'm like, you know, typically that kind of stuff, if it's going to happen, nobody really talks about it. It just happened. These girls want to talk numbers. So kind of like, you know, he's not used to that. He's, you know, first time this has happened to him, he said. And they told him $1,000 a piece. And he was like, "Well, you want me to pay you guys $1,000 a piece for sex? I'm not doing that." Okay, these girls have already been in your room for 30 minutes. They're drinking with you. Just like Denzel, you know, they're from around the way. Right? They leaving here with something. They're leaving with something. Anyway, he kept drinking. They pretended they were drinking. He gets himself drunk. He dozes off, he says, for just a few minutes, sitting on the couch, talking, music's on. He wakes up, all of his shit is gone. Wallet, laptop, one of his cell phones. They didn't take the other one because it was in his pocket. He had a few thousand cash in the room. All of his stuff's gone. Now, they must have just left the room. This is how clever these girls are. While he's sleeping, they're leaving the room. They called the police. They reported to the police that they gave the room number and said, "Hey, help us. There's this guy holding us hostage." He's holding us hostage in the room. You know, big black dude. He's holding us hostage in the room. They're already gone. They're on the phone, on the elevator, claiming that they're being held hostage. He wakes up, notices the girls are gone. All of his stuff's gone. So he's scrambling. Holy shit, what am I going to do? So he literally runs out the room, down the hall, to the elevators, down to the casino floor. Girls are gone. And he's like, "Fuck, my stuff's gone, money's gone." And he's like, "What am I going to do?" By the time he's walking back upstairs to the room, police and hotel security have already opened the door, and they're already in his hotel room. They're telling him, "Hey, we got a phone call. Some girls said they're being held hostage here." That freaked him out right there. How could he prove that he wasn't holding them hostage? What could he do if there's no video, if there's no recording, if it's just his word versus not just one, but 2 girls' words versus yours? What can he do? The police asked him, "Do you want to file charges?" You know, because he was telling him, "Man, they stole a bunch of stuff from me." You know what he said? No. He said he just wanted this. He just wanted this to go away. Because had they not made that call to the police and put him in the light like he's doing something bad, he would have been like, "Let me, you know, file charges. Who are these girls? Look through the cameras. They stole thousands and thousands of dollars of stuff from me." So I told him, I said, "You know, you do understand that you paid a ransom, and the ransom was whatever the value of all the cash and property they stole from you. That's how much the ransom was, and you paid it because you didn't go to the police. You said, I don't want to deal with the headache. I don't want to have to. Now I got to fight them in court and argue with them and deal with the police. and you don't live in Vegas. So it's just a lot going on. And he was just like, you know what? I just took it as a loss. And I said, well, no, they took their value. They took money from you. And however much they took from you, however that total is, was the ransom that you paid. You were extorted. That was it. But think about it. Did he not want to file charges because he was guilty of kidnapping these women? No. He didn't want to file charges because he didn't want to go through the public embarrassment of any of this stuff being filed, put on the internet with his picture and his name. So when you're looking at what's going on with Shannon Sharpe, you got to consider the same thing. Even though you got text messages of this girl asking you to put a fucking dog collar on her from PetSmart and around her neck and choke her with it like some kind of brutal beast, some kind of gorilla. You got these messages. The fact that she would still try you is only because these women know they can, it's not going to hurt you to try. These lawyers are working pro bono. You're already a broke little OnlyFans girl. You don't have anything to lose. You're literally an escort. You're selling sex online via OnlyFans. So you have nothing to lose. There's no consequences when these women when the guys are found to be innocent. You know, these women do, they say, oh, there's no consequences for them. They can accuse 100. There was a case in the UK where some morbidly obese, woman with mental disease literally accused like 15 men of sexual assault. And literally they had arrested the 13th separate man, all different charges. And then they finally noticed that, hey, it's the same woman for these other 10, 12 people. And there were 3 other people that they were still looking for. Turns out she was just a mentally ill woman making it all up, and the police do not gather a database of people who are making these claims. We don't know if this is the first time Gabrielle Zuniga has done this. And if she was successful the first time, there would be no record of it. These are rookie mistakes. She didn't make sure to refute these text messages, and she wouldn't have put this out there had she done this before. So this might be the first time, but you got to think about it now. Her name is burnt. If somebody wants to date her in 5 years from now, or when she's about to hit the wall at 29, they can always Google her name, and they can look up the fact that she has a history of trying to rob and extort men. So that's why she literally has to do this for a living. There are women that literally go to concerts, go to games. They hang out when these little boys are leaving the Columbine, these young men are leaving the draft, and they go sit in the lobbies of these hotels, hoping that one of these boys is dumb enough to be on an elevator or in a room with her alone for more than 3 minutes. Because again, once she leaves that room, it's your story versus hers. You won't get her pregnant. You won't marry her. The only other option is accuse you of something so she can pull resources from you. Money, property, whatever. But I'll tell you, like I said, I'd rather be sued for something like this as Shannon Sharpe than be in a divorce where you can't even fight like Amon Shumpert. That's just diabolical. So you got to keep that in mind. These men that are on this internet talking about him, saying these things, this is his competition. Stephen A. Smith is his competition. Shaq is his competition. Let's go and see what these other lawyers are saying.
As Mr. Shannon pointed out, of suing black men, I don't think her lawyer is fully prepared for what's going to happen to her when she must take the witness stand because she filed a lawsuit. She can't decline to take the witness stand. She will be subpoenaed by us if she declines, in my opinion.
Now, let me tell you, he's absolutely right. This woman is lying. People who are lying are going to have to make other lies to cover up current lies. She's not that good at this. She's going to drop this entire lawsuit. She's going to ask for $500,000. She's going to ask for $250,000. And then Busby, once shit hits the fan, they're going to settle maybe just for lawyers' fees, and they're going to be an NDA, so you won't ever know how much he settled for. But Sharpe is going to win this. 100% he's going to win this. She's not going to want to go up there and take the stand and literally have to come up with lies to cover up other lies. She's not going to be able to do it. Not successfully.
The lawsuit will be dismissed.
You're going to court. Is there a settlement here? Because every legal person I've seen online or in a story is like, this will settle. This will settle.
This will not settle. We are going to sue her for defamation and many other causes of action that involve and potentially a criminal act is blackmail. And that is what happened here. And we have the evidence of blackmail, and we will prove it in court. This will not settle. She is going to be proven to be a liar. My client's reputation, his family, he's been embarrassed, and he is going to be vindicated by a jury that will find her guilty of lying, and she will have to pay heavily for these false attacks on my client.
Let me ask you, I told you to hold that thought. I forget what it was about. Because you were speaking. Do you remember what it was? Is it producers who remember? Because I wanted to talk to you about it. There's so many things here. You guys remember, Nikki, anybody? So you're not going to settle. Let's talk about ESPN.
Yes, please.
That's owned by the mouse. Clean cut, whatever. It's Mickey Mouse kids. It's
Mickey Mouse and kids are the last thing Disney's being known for nowadays. They had child sex trafficking ring allegations. They've been meddling in politics to push child mutilation surgery. Disney has been heavily boycotted. The state of Florida took away their exempt status and their protection. So Disney's not known for being something holy. If you're a gay stranger, like weird motherfucker like Don Lemon, he wouldn't know because he doesn't have kids. He likes kids. He dates men. He has no idea what he's talking about. So that's not what Disney's known for. So Disney does not hold any moral high ground. Also, again, Shannon Sharpe doesn't need ESPN. They need him. He already has a platform outside of the sports, outside of ESPN. He doesn't need them to make money. You can't even fight. He can leave ESPN, but you can't fire him from his own show, his own brand, his own everything. You can't do anything about that. So this doesn't even matter, actually. They're doing him a favor, if anything.
It's owned by Disney. Shannon Sharpe to be benched by ESPN's first Disney, ABC, whatever. Disney owns ABC and ESPN. So Shannon Sharpe to be benched by ESPN's First Take amid, our word lawsuit, $10 million settlement offer. That's what I want to talk to you about. So first, you're concerned about ESPN. Does this mean permanently? Does this mean that they're backing away from it? Because they say pending a further investigation.
Well, first of all, the word benched is inaccurate. This is his choice. He elected to step aside for now to take care of his family and to deal with this terrible nightmare of a woman engaging in blackmail. And he wants to be vindicated. So he offered and elected to step aside at least up to the early pregame season.
And for everybody who's just tuning in, blackmail is the only option a woman has to still get money out of a man that's done with her. You're done with the sex. She's not pregnant. Thank God you didn't marry her, but she still wants access to the money. So she has to make an allegation against you, and then you got to be nice to her to drop the charges, or you got to deal with her, even though you don't want to, so that you don't lose whatever you got going on. So it doesn't matter if you're filthy rich or not. You can still be extorted. You can still be blackmailed, and it's going to happen. It comes with the territory, especially now in today's age. You got to look at every woman as an op. Yeah, she's pretty, but you don't know what's going on in that head, and you don't know who's in her ear, her mother, her friends, and they all see you as an ATM. Even if you only make $50,000 a year, that's $50,000 more than she makes. Think about it. She doesn't work. Her mom doesn't work. Her parents aren't well-to-do. So a dollar more is. Think about it. Women will go through all the humiliation ritual just so you can pay them $300 a month for child support, and they couldn't get any more than that. And they don't. You think they care? No, they'll still do it. Drag it through the mud. It hasn't happened to me, but I've watched it happen to so many different men. And what I do is I'm a stenographer. I keep track of it and I report it to other people. And then I try to help people make better decisions. The best decision you can make now is just don't get involved with these women anymore. Learn to speak another language and prepare to leave. Because if you want a family, having it here is going to be too risky. Even if she's a good woman today, you know, say you hit some kind of luck or, you know, whatever you're doing blows up and you start doing well for yourself, she's going to want to leave you and she's going to want you to pay for that new lifestyle. That's how it's just a lifestyle thing. A lot of these women, they want the lifestyle of a married woman just without the husband. There's only a couple of ways you can do that. Get pregnant by the man and make him give you money to support your new lifestyle, or divorce him. And then he has to pay you to support your lifestyle. That's what the whole purpose of no-fault divorce is. So don't forget that. Any man who's not married and you're just, you know, and you just had sex with somebody, she's going to have to accuse you of something so that she can keep access to your money. It's going to keep happening.
The NFL, and then he will return. So that was his choice, and ESPN respected that decision.
Okay, now this is a $10 million settlement offer. Wasn't it, in fact, is that correct, or was it a $20 million settlement offer?
Well, all I've been able to do as a lawyer is to confirm that in a conference that was supposed to be kept confidential because a professional mediator who was a retired judge engaged in the mediation, that those numbers were exchanged. And all I can say under the rules is that it was at least that number that he considered and might have paid in order to protect his privacy, his family, and his economic interests going forward. So I think that's one of the things that you said you wanted to come back to.
Yeah, that's what it was. But so
outrageous.
So why he's not guilty?
That he did this because he did something wrong. Literally, a reporter wrote that, well, he must have done something wrong if he was willing to pay that amount of money.
Well, that's what I was going to ask you. Explain this. Why, if he is indeed not guilty, why this? And I tried to explain this morning on TMZ is that either some folks call it a nuisance lawsuit or they want to protect their image or their job or their reputation or whatever. So, but I think people deserve to know why offer that if he is not guilty of these things.
It's a very valid question, but it's the conclusions that people are speculating about that I take strong exception to.
Now, let's see here. I remember when the Joe Rogan Spotify deal was on the table for $100 million. All of a sudden, I started getting Black people and women from all over posting videos, and gay people posting videos of all the times Joe Rogan said the word nigger and just said the N-word. Just how many times did he say it? When did he say it? And it basically made a collage like he's just walking around, just dropping N-bombs 24/7. There's a whole ecosystem that tracks people that are on the event horizon of a new life. They track men. It's always men. They track men that are about to hit some kind of point where they just kind of go off into the stratosphere and they're going to be untouchable. They know, right? Think about it. All this is coming out not after he signed the $100 million deal and not 3 years ago before he signed any deals. It's coming out within a month or so of him signing this deal, because there's a whole ecosystem of people that extort and find different ways to rob men of their resources. And their number one way is usually just using women. Everyone knows that men are simple. Men like women. Men like sex. You can be a married man all you want. You're still going to be attracted to women. You're still going to be attracted to the prospect of having sex. If someone tells you, hey, Rico, I'm going to give you $1 billion, right? But you got to allow me to cut your penis off. But you get $1 billion. I would tell you to take that $1 billion and shove it up your ass. I wouldn't want it. Because what's the purpose of having $1 billion, but I can't meet women and have sex with them? My point to say this is that the money and the fame is no good if you can't use it to meet women. Even your children are going to come from women. So it all revolves around women. So it's a perfect honeypot. Men are going to be attracted to women. You're going to want to have sex with the best looking women. This guy works out a lot. Naturally, he's going to like a girl that's fit, that's in the gym. You think he wants a 56-year-old? Have you ever met a 56-year-old woman? Could you imagine having sex with a 56-year-old who's had gotten 1,000 different men? She's had sex 1,000,000 times in 56. Why in the world? He says, I'm going to act my wage. That means I'm only going to deal with women who are looking for men in the upper echelons, not these women are at the bottom, not the bottom feeders, not the big mamas, not the grannies, not the aunties, but the best of the best. But don't ever forget these grannies, aunties, these older women, no matter race, they'll sue you and lie about you too. They've done it to other men in their past. That's why they're single now, because they meet another man. He finds out what you did to that last guy and he's gone. Men are sensitive. We discover a couple of things about her history and we ghost. I got a beautiful chick that I was seeing last year. I barely unblocked her number because I bumped into her cousin. And she sends me a 3-page text message. But the only part I read was that, it hurt me because you just ghosted me. You just stopped taking my calls and you just disappeared. Bro, I was seeing this woman for like 4 months. I had no idea she was a stripper because she works the day shift. How the hell? So you're telling me you're out here basically, which is a sex worker, however you want to cut, it's a sex worker. I would have been cool with it. I've dated strippers before. We're not getting married. I'm not gonna, we're just partying, having fun right now. It's not that she lied to me. Well, she did say she lied. She told me she worked at like an office. So maybe that was the name of the strip club, the Office. Who knows? But I literally cut her off and just stopped speaking to her and didn't want nothing to do with her no more because it's just I didn't like it. I've messed with strippers before. I'm not trying to date one, and this is a person I was seeing all the time, and it's low key embarrassing because what if I would have went to that strip club and there she is, and I got my friends with me or my relatives, and they're like, "Isn't that your girlfriend up there with like $2 bills sticking out her butthole?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's my baby. See you at home, baby. See you at home when we get off work." I'm like, "Wait, were you showering first?" But I don't know. There's a lot of stuff. But anyway, she's a beautiful girl, but she got ghosted. I would imagine anything comes up, if you're one of these top tier men, anything you don't like come up, you're ghosting women anyway. So I think I think about it. She's claiming that the last few times they had, sex was great, but it was in October of last year, and he didn't cut her off until January this year. So you were still dealing with him after. So basically, you're going to get. It's not like he's delivering grape. You're going to pick it up. It's not like he's popping up at your house, coming through your window, punching you and grape. You're literally going to pick it up. So you get graped, and then you go back for more grape. It doesn't make sense because it's lies, it's bullshit, it's nonsense. So he literally has to avoid that. And, he's doing the right thing by fighting back. And like I said, it's always a 50-50 gamble on if he's going to settle or if he's going to want to fight. Again, he doesn't have a woman in his ear pressuring him to settle because she's going to be embarrassed. He's a man on his own. And he already sells dick pills during his podcast, and he tries to get other men to work out and hire libido and mess and deal with women. So you really can't shame him. I don't think he has any shame in his game. I'll be honest. Not even a year ago, you guys were all calling him gay. So that's another reason why this lawsuit is not landing anywhere. A year ago, you all said he was smacking up that dude. They used to go with him, the little Fagalist guy, the little the stylist. Yeah, y'all said he was putting the naughty on him. So I'll be honest with you, all of this is good for Shannon. He's on everybody's. He's a household name now. He's on everybody's timeline and everybody's algorithm, and he's 100% guaranteed to win this lawsuit. This is a win. He can do, bro. He's guaranteed to win. This is not even a gamble. There's not even a chance he's going to lose. He's going to come out of this as being the victim. Because for one thing, literally everybody thought he was gay a year ago. And I'll be honest. It's not, no one's saying that that's impossible. It's not a possibility still now. He could probably still be considered being gay. I'm just saying what people were calling him and saying about him. And again, this is now changing perception about him. Now he's being seen as a man again. You know, he was hopping out with them tight jumpsuits. People had all kind of crazy stuff to say about him. But that's the court of public opinion. And you can't go from being LGBT, but now to you're out here just graping women. There's that you're not gonna be able to make that jump. It's not going to be able to be processed in the mind of a regular person who's just a fan, who's a layman, who's just watching all these headlines. It's not gonna process. That's just like somebody coming out tomorrow saying, a woman saying, I'm gonna share my truth. 5 years ago, I was on an elevator at CNN and Don. Sorry, my dogs. And somebody's just crying and they're on the elevator screaming that Mr. Don Lemon I'm sorry, my cousin just walked through the garage, and Mr. Bacon wants everyone to talk to him when they come in the house immediately. So, but no, it's just like somebody coming out, a woman coming out, beautiful woman, white woman, could be black, doesn't matter. And she says, you know, I was on the elevator was stuck for a little bit, and Don Lemon was on the elevator with me. It was just me and him, and he just pulled it out on me and told me to, you know, kiss it. I wonder how many people in the population would believe it. I'm going to tell you this, it'd be a percentage, maybe 20%, 15, 20%. But how many people do you need to believe something before you're like, you know what, I don't want this story to get out and settle? The thing is this, if he admits that, yeah, I actually was on the elevator with this person, but it was only for like 2 minutes while we were going up to the 85th floor. Well, she got action. There's no elevator cameras. And she didn't go get a kit because there was nothing to report, but she can literally say, yeah, something did happen on the elevator. He's going to be like, well, I did meet her. I was on the elevator, but that's not what happened. Okay, so now it's your word versus her word, Don Lemon. But the public knowing him for being gay, to believe that he all of a sudden now is just telling women to drop down in the elevator and pucker up. It's just too much of a jump. Nobody's going to believe it. So again, because Shannon Sharpe was being considered gay a year ago, nobody's going to believe that he's just now out here just brutalizing women, just going crazy and doing all this terrible stuff. So this is a guaranteed win for him. If I was Shannon Sharpe, I would play the victim role. He already came out and told his friends and family. But one thing I'm noticing about him is that he's not apologizing for nothing, and he shouldn't. You know, I was reading my comments on Facebook, actually, and I'm having an argument with this girl I used to sleep with. I'll just be honest, you know, we have a history. Also, she's still really hot, so, you know, kudos to Rico, right? You know, good, you know, kudos to me. But she's saying, you know, men are never accountable. And I'm like, men are accountable for everything. She's like, well, it's his fault. And I'm like, well, how is it his fault? And I'm asking her to tell me, explain to me, because as far as I'm concerned, this is victim blaming. He's a victim right now. And, you know, when people can't tell me what he did wrong, and I'm like, so what is he? Well, so he's an adult. He found another grown woman that's of age. He should be able to date women, have sex. He's living in, he should be able to do that without worried about someone lying on him. That's just like somebody saying, man, you shouldn't have wore that chain over in the hood. So I can't even wear what I want to wear in my own country. I got to be afraid of what I'm wearing and I can't even just be a regular person. I got to live in fear. And it's basically my fault if something bad happens to me. Oh, hey, you shouldn't have been over there. That's why you got shot. I should be able to go anywhere I want to in America and be comfortable and be safe. I shouldn't have to be afraid that somebody's going to try to extort me and rob me if I go there. That's ridiculous. So if he's dating women that are consensual, you know, adults of age, no matter how old he is, as long as she's above age, he should be able to date her and have sex with her without having to wonder, is she going to try to sue me and lie about me later? Promoting that victim shaming when it comes to men is encouraging women to lie and make up stories about men to get ahead in life and for money. Now, a lot of these lawsuits now are getting dropped. That girl wasted all that time making up those stories about Jay-Z. Now she's being sued. She gets nothing out of it, and she's going to end up having to pay a price for this. Is it even worth it? So what they're trying to do now is they're trying to make you think, yeah, it's worth it. Crash out, throw your name out there. Your name's going to go through the mud, and if it's a lie, it's even worse. Now, if something happened to you, really, tell your truth and go ahead and, file charges, whatever. But when you're telling me something happened to you 12 years ago, and now that you see the guy on TV, you're just having a flashback because you find out he got money. Now you're all of a sudden like, I need some help. Like, get the fuck out of here. Why didn't you report it at the time? And then there's no, like I said, even with this girl Zunika, the reason she'd go to the police, there's no grape kit because there was no grape. These women don't got none of these women. Look at what happened to Tory Lanez. You think black women have more love for you than white women? Get the fuck out of here. Look at what happened to Brian Banks. All these other black men. Look at Cassie and Diddy. Paid her off. Isn't Cassie black? My other friend, he called me today and he's arguing with me. And he says, Rico, I thought you were lying. I said, about what? He said, I'm reading through the paperwork. He said, Cassie's the only victim on the Diddy case. He said, I thought there were 1,000 different girls and men saying that he raped them. I said, no. The only victim in the Diddy case is Cassie. He's shocked. So what are they trying to say? That this millionaire, this multimillionaire billionaire that was with this woman for over 10 years was trafficking her to who? Himself? Other people were paying him to have relations with Cassie. What are you guys trying to say? What the hell's going on? People don't read. People don't understand what's happening. They just believe what the headlines say. They don't really lead into them. And these headlines are deceptively written to manipulate you and have you looking right when you should be looking left. That's just how it goes. He had no idea Cassie is the only victim in the Diddy case. It's not Cassie and 10 other women. It's Cassie. So you think, and she's going to show up. So you think it's safer to, dealing with white women. It's way safer. Think about it. She's only suing him. There's no criminal investigation going on. Now he could turn criminal, but why? How would it without any evidence? Your word is not going to be enough to prove when there's no injuries, there's no kits, there's no evidence. Now, yeah, you guys had consensual relationships. Here go the text messages to prove it. By the looks of it, you're just a woman who got dumped and you're upset about it because he would not give you a baby. So you're doing what any other woman would have to do. You're going to have to make up an allegation against him because if he won't give you a baby, he's definitely not going to marry you. So how else are you going to get access to that money? How are you going to get half? You heard he was making $100 million off this contract, and now you want 50. That sounds like half to me. So these women want the benefits of marriage, of having a man take care of them, just without the man. The question is, as a man, are you going to be dumb enough to protect yourself, or are you going to fall for it? A lot of us are choosing to leave. It's a thing called MGTOW, men going their own way. I've abstained from it. I live in a big house. I haven't moved any women in anymore. I'm not doing that anymore. I did that for years. It's hard. You can't make American women happy. It's not like I'm the only person that says this. None of my friends, the only guys I know that are successfully married are married to women from Thailand, Japan, the Philippines, or somewhere in South America. That's it. I don't know anybody that has a successful marriage with an American-born woman right now. Not a soul. Not one. Everyone I know that married an American-born woman is regretting it. So, we're in a new age and time. Men haven't changed, women have, and now everything is weaponizing women against men that they choose to have sex with. Oh, don't let them just play you, girl. Get yours. Go get yours on your own. Go work. Go work. Extortion can happen to anybody for any reason. Make videos, record everything. I'd rather somebody be mad at you because you recorded them than for them to make up a story and you can't defend yourself because you didn't record them. Don't let anybody convince you to let your guard down. I'm watching these lawyers and they're giving horrible advice, telling people, oh, you shouldn't do this and do that. I'm like, yeah, that's how you, but think about it, these lawyers need you to get in trouble. Think about it. Would your car mechanic give you good car advice or bad? If they give you good car advice, you're never going to bring your car in to get fixed. How are they going to make money? Same thing with a lawyer. If a lawyer tells you how to get out of these kind of charges ahead of time, why would you hire him? You can't take advice from these damn lawyers. But listen to this lawyer. We're going to talk to him for a second.
Comes from placing pressure on attorney Tony Busby and the plaintiff in the case against Sharpe to release the unedited tape of what Davis and Sharpe believe were edited into a snippet that suggests a non-consensual, sexual encounter. They believe that the full tape, the full video, will show the proper context and that it was consensual. And there's a lot of pressure being placed on Busby and the plaintiff to produce, not just produce it, but to surrender it to an expert who can determine whether the edited version is real and whether the unedited version is authentic as well. Now, to me, that's always been part of the PR play because, and I posed this question yesterday and Davis accurately answered it, he's automatically and absolutely entitled to get the unedited tape as part of the discovery process in the lawsuit. You submit a Rule 34 request for production and you get it. You get it. They can't not give it to you. And if they've messed with it, that's another can of worms they're going to have to deal with. So putting the pressure on Tony Busby publicly now really does feel like part of this PR play. Why won't you release it now? Release it now. Show everyone. That's the problem, because they want people to think that there's some fundamental problem with the edited version, supposedly the one that differs dramatically from the unedited version. So that was a big part of the press conference yesterday. There were other things that were said, but the most important, and I was surprised when I first heard this. I thought Lanny Davis misspoke. Fairly early in the conference call, he mentioned that Shannon Sharpe, during efforts to settle the case before the lawsuit was filed, offered tens of millions of dollars to the plaintiff. And he used that phrase several times, tens of millions of dollars. And I, along with other people who were on the call, asked questions. The way it worked was you typed your question in. You didn't actually verbally express the question. So you type the question, you send it, and you wait for them to answer it. Multiple people who were on that call asked the question of, is it tens of millions or is it 10 million? What's the number specifically? So eventually, after saying tens of millions several times, Lanny Davis said that Shannon Sharpe offered at least $10 million to settle the case. Now, I practiced law for 18 years. I was stunned by that because, and look, I know that within the confines of litigation, when you settle a case and you write the check and it goes away, part of the release agreement that you get from the plaintiff has language making it clear that we deny everything and the payment of money should never be regarded as proof of liability or admission of responsibility. Also, when the case is over, there's a confidentiality provision in there that prevents the plaintiff from ever saying what was obtained through this effort to settle the case. I was surprised that Lanny Davis was so candid about this because it cuts against the expectation and the idea and this effort to sell that it's all falsified and it's all blackmail and it's all extortion and I didn't do anything. Oh, but I was willing to pay $10 million. Now, the only way to thread that needle is to say, okay, well, it was pretty effective blackmail because he was willing to pay $10 million for something he didn't do, and she didn't want it. She wanted more. I just think that when you're dealing in the court of public opinion, it's not easy to spin those two plates. I didn't do anything. This is all falsified, and I offered at least $10 million, and she wouldn't take it. I think most people, this is my opinion, most people are going to hear those two facts, and most people are going to say, man, why would he offer $10 million if he didn't do anything? Doesn't mean he did anything. But when we're playing to the court of public opinion, I didn't do anything and it's all fabricated and falsified, and I'm going to fight this tooth and nail. Oh, by the way, I offered $10 million before it started. It's a tough one to balance. And I expressed that yesterday in an item that I wrote at PFT immediately after the press conference ended. And I'm updating this now, number one, because I think it's an important development. as it relates to the court of public opinion, because Shannon Sharpe and his lawyer want anyone who's listening to this to believe that he's blameless, and he has every right to shout from the rooftops, I did nothing wrong. And we're trying to be fair to everyone involved in this situation. And it's an interesting case because only two people know what the truth is. And there's not going to be a whole lot of evidence that I think is going to tip the scales one way or the other. But did hear from Lanny Davis after I wrote my own, suggesting that it's difficult to reconcile. I didn't do anything with, I offered it $10 million, at least $10 million, as Lanny Davis said. So what I'm going to do, and I'm going to write this at PFT, and he wanted to like post his own op-ed at PFT, and that's just not the way we do things. But I said, you sent me a...
Like I said, don't trust these eggplant, shyster-ass fucking lawyers. Do not trust them. How do you... What do you mean you don't understand why he would settle if he's innocent? For one thing, I have a name. I have a last name. I have children. I have a mother. I have a parent. I don't have a wife, but I have other people that are going to be affected if anything negative about my sex life comes out. And how do you control a male? How do you control a healthy man with a normal sex drive and an attraction to women because he's not gay? How do you control a not gay man? You literally use women as a honeypot to put them in precarious situations. You make it seem like he's weird or strange because he likes sex with women. You make it seem like he's an outcast or some kind of weirdo for just being a normal human male. Of course, bro, if something happens to me, I want my browser history to be deleted. Not because I'm guilty of something, but because you don't need to know about the midgets and the sea lions. There's no, why would you need to know what it's in my browser history on Pornhub or X videos? You don't need to know this. It's none of your business. Now, personally, I wouldn't care, but then again, I don't have a family and this infrastructure of yes people around me that got their hands out 24/7 that I'm constantly feeding, who want to talk about look at Kanye West. He now has to admit that he used to give his cousin BJs. You know why? Because I bet his cousin probably just got out of jail, or his cousin is just coming back around and said, well, I was thinking about writing a book about how you used to slob on my knob, like corn on the cob. So what did Kanye do? He had to beat him to the punch so he doesn't get extorted. And he said, man, I'll tell the public myself, because he's already went through the humiliation ritual of 50,000 times. It can't get much more humiliating than having children with Kim Kardashian. With her history, it can't get much worse. So, yeah, of course, you're not going to, that's why you're going to want to settle. You're going to want to settle, get it over with. Remember what I said earlier about its timing. They don't do this a year before you get the big contract or a year after your big contract. They do it when you're on the precipice. They do it right when you're on the event horizon of blowing up. Again, right when you're about to sign that big deal. Oh, here goes some things that came up that might affect it. Why is Drake suing UMG? And why did they get past the motion to dismiss? Because it's true. Drake was they had to renegotiate a new deal with Drake. So what did they do? Instead of just paying Drake what they owe him and what they should pay him, they decided to back a BS beef and use payola to farm, the farm bots to make it seem like Kendrick Lamar is actually beating Drake and has more records and the whole world's against him because this one song is supposed to wipe out Drake's entire catalog. It was all fake. No, it wasn't. That damn song was okay, but it wasn't life-changing. And then none of it added up. It didn't make sense. But what did they do? They waited until right when they had to do the contract negotiations with Drake to drop that, so that they can say, hey, I know you want $700 million. We're going to offer you $300, and you're going to take it because you've lost value because of this beef with Kendrick Lamar and this song. And they were wrong. Doing that is illegal. They broke laws. They're going to have to pay Drake. If I was Drake, I wouldn't even want a settlement. I would just want, I want part ownership of the company. I want to be on the board. I want to be right here, vice president or something, where I can now watch, learn the system, and be a part of it, and I'm gonna make that money anyway. That's what I would say. I wouldn't even want a settlement, or I mean, he can use that money to come up with something to rival Universal. I don't know. Maybe they're too big to do so. I mean, I don't know what I would do in that situation. I'm just giving my opinion. But remember, they do this because they know you have something about to happen, and they want you to think it's in jeopardy of being lost. And that's why you'll settle. That's why you'll pay $10 million, because you know you have something worth more than $100 million. You'll take that over. You don't want to be smeared. You don't want to lose your name. You don't want the opportunity to be affected, because don't forget, you got an agent, you got a manager, you got people that work for you, and everyone's going to be pissed off if they find out you wanted to get your dick wet. So that's why they all might lose their jobs. Now, go get another job. My sex life is not going to have to, you shouldn't, because I have a sex life, should not be affecting if you want to work for me or not. Go work for somewhere else. I'm not perfect. I am a man. Men are flawed. Shit, Jesus was perfect, and they talked about him still. So I'm not going to do any better with any of you people. And Shannon Sharpe is actually going to have to own that. He's going to have to accept that. And I think he's doing a good job. What up, Mike? What up, Coles? Oh, that's my fat cousin, Rashay. What's up, big boy? Yeah, so again, I would have just paid the $10 million to settle it, but the girl was greedy. She's greedy. And, again, she's making money on OnlyFans, and she sees us as ATM. And again, there's other people in her ear. She probably has relatives or other girls, and they're thinking, well, remember that one time he did? And it's a gamble to her. She don't know. He might have just said, okay, to the 50 million, and they would have kept us under the rug. It was a 50-50 chance. He might have took 50 million over 0 million. Yeah, I got to pay this girl, but at least I can live to fight another day. That's how a lot of men think. Because we don't want to, for one thing, especially black men, man, niggas don't want to go to court. Barely we want to go to court over child support or even custody fights. Volunteering to go to court over being sued for some girl that we don't want to mess with no more. We don't want to go to court anyway. Court's a weird place, and it always feels like you're about to go to prison for life. The lights are really bright. I don't know. It's just a very traumatizing place. No one wants to volunteer to go to court. She probably understands that. I know Busby does. And God knows how many people Busby has shooken down just like this in the past, and we never heard about it because the man paid. I mean, Busby has a reputation, right? So that means somebody's paid, and we don't know their names. I don't. I'm sure we could look it up. But if there's NDAs involved, once the money's exchanged, then you're not going to know anything. Shannon Sharpe, he just decided, I'm going to put my foot down. He was in the NFL, so he has experience with watching women destroy men's lives. I'm sure he's had other people say stuff about him in the past, but he didn't have this type of notoriety, and he didn't have this type of influence and money, so people want to control that. Like Cat Williams said, they'll bill you up and let you know they can just take it away from you whenever they want. Think about it. Jonathan Majors. He wouldn't get that girl pregnant, and he wouldn't marry her, so what did she do? Accused him of abuse. What did he lose? A bunch of stuff. I'll be honest. I just saw that movie Sinners. It sucked monkey dick. But I think if Jonathan Majors would have been in that movie, it probably would have did better. It probably would have been better. For one thing, he already has all the clothes for the wardrobe they used from the 1930s anyway. He could have just used some of that stuff. I mean, they should have put him in there. But think about it. Jonathan Major, he wouldn't marry the girl. He wouldn't get her pregnant. So she accused him of abuse. Same thing with basically all these other celebrities, But see, it's a lot easier when you're married to a woman for them to extort you, because all she has to do is just say you abused her in the marriage. File for divorce. You're going to have to pay her regardless. There's no way to defend yourself where now you don't got to give her a bunch of money unless you can prove infidelity or something. I mean, it's very difficult. So again, you're better off being in Shannon Sharpe's shoes than you are being in a married man's shoes. Keep that in mind. At least Sharpe can fight. These other men can't fight. You're done. When you're married, you can't fight anything. These are just allegations that you can prove that, hey, this didn't happen. Here goes the proof. She's literally making a special request to me that she wants me to put a dog collar on her from Petco and choke me with it while you're fucking me. Very graphic language. I know you miss this big, juicy cheeks. $25K for each cheek. That's $50K. So obviously, this is a 304. This is a transactional relationship. You can't turn a transactional relationship into me being abusive to you. I don't owe you anything because I don't want to mess with you no more. You're as good to me as you are while we're sleeping together. Bro, I'll tell you the truth. My ex-girlfriend right now is here in Texas. And she calls me. She's like, hey, I'm in town. My grandmother's sick. I got family with me. I know you got a house with a lot of room in it. Can I come stay there? Well, no. No, you can't come stay here. And she's mad at me right now because I said, no, you can't come stay here. Lady, we are not having sex anymore. I'm not your husband. I'm not your baby daddy. And everything in our relationship, I recorded. So you can't accuse me of nothing. I don't owe you anything. I actually left her and moved to Texas 3 years ago. She wouldn't, because it could have been a situation like this. I asked her to move out because she had a bad drinking problem. She wouldn't leave. So what I did was I put some clothes in a backpack and I flew to another state and I left. Told her, keep the house. You can pay the rent. I was renting it. You pay the rent. Stay there. I'm not going back. So this is yours. Told the landlord, hey, I'm gone. The lease is up. I'm out. What was I going to do? Go back there and argue with her and have my neighbors think that I'm over there kicking ass and taking names because you hear a bunch of people screaming at each other, but really it's just her screaming at me? No, I don't fight and argue with anybody. I walk away from people. Shit, I was on a date last week and I didn't like something that the girl did. I left her at the club. And it's weird. Like she calls me like a couple days later, like, oh, hey, sorry, I guess I must have lost you because your phone died. And I'm like, yeah, maybe that's what happened. She's like, let's go out again. We went out again. She did something else. I left her ass again. That just tells you that I'm not playing. I'm not going to just continue to deal with stuff I don't like. If I'm not, especially if we're not sleeping together, I don't owe you anything. So just because somebody doesn't want to deal with you anymore, that doesn't mean you can just now go make up allegations about them and sue them. No one has to deal with you forever. Yeah, you had sex with him before. That doesn't mean he needs to pay you for the rest of your life because you guys had sex. And that's the image that's being portrayed in the media to these young women. He owes you for sex forever. Matter of fact, if you wait 12 years after you guys have been sleeping together, you can backdate the invoice for how much you want to charge him per time you had sex. If you think about it, if Shannon Sharpe, they said he had sex with her, he said maybe about 10 times. So that's at 50 million. So you telling me the CPN, the cost per nut is $5 million per nut? What? No, you're better off going to other countries and only having, relations with women in other countries, getting married in another country. Just don't make the mistake. You can make your money in America. You can come to America, never bring them here. 1 or 2 conversations with an American woman will destroy the mind of a good woman. Because this mentality is spread through the media, but also women talk to each other. And you might have a good woman. She's like, yeah, I'm about to go home, make my husband dinner, and wash laundry. These single women nowadays see your woman and say, you're going to go do what? Make him do his own laundry. Make him cook his own food. Are you some kind of pick me? You're some kind of pick me. You're some kind of puppy. You do whatever he tells you to do. You're some kind of slave girl. And you're like, no, I'm just trying to be a wife and make him happy. He should just make you happy. You shouldn't do anything. Matter of fact, you can get a maid to clean up after you and a chef. All you got to do is say that he hit you and the police will come and put him out of the house. Then he has to still pay you alimony, and you can afford a chef and a maid to come over and take care of you. And you get to sit back and maybe you can date some young personal trainer. And then that's literally the conversations that women are having with other women. And these women are now making up allegations and leaving their husbands in hopes of getting a big payday. And if he was dumb enough to sign a bad contract with you called marriage, even with a prenup, you're still going to have to pay because she can say it was signed under duress. And then the judge, depending if it's a woman, she might just say, well, the prenup is now null and void. Basically, it's open season on men, especially men with money, men of influence. No one cares about the truth. They just care about what you can do for them. She's literally talking about tossing his salad, but yet he's abusing her. Let me tell you this, ladies. There's no such thing as a woman sticking her tongue up your hoo-ha and you beating up on her. That's not going to happen. She's not that, salad tossing is reserved for when she really, really likes you. Not for when, you're beating up on her. Bro, he didn't take nothing from her. Yeah, and then so what? This is what they wanted to do. They're dragging this out. There's no crime here, but freaky as hell. There's no crime, but they just want to humiliate you and embarrass you. But you got to have the mental fortitude to be able to handle this. Is Shannon Sharpe built for this? Maybe, maybe not. I remember I got trolled one time. Some girl I used to deal with made a fake Instagram page about me. Made a fake Instagram page about me, saying all kind of stuff on there. My business partner, friends of mine, they're calling me. Oh my God, Rico, you got to see this page, bro. You got to do this and this. And they're like, and I'm like, yeah, I just saw it today. They're like, why are you so calm? And I had to explain to them. I said, bro, there's nothing you can do to stop somebody from getting on Will Smith's internet and just making up stories about you. There's nothing you can do. Nothing. I remember the first time when I called the police to make a restraining order on somebody. You know what the cop said? He said, we can't put a force field around your house. Just because there's a restraining order, she can still pop up over there. You can just call us, but there's no force field we can put around your house where she can't get through. This isn't Star Trek. The cop said that to me. Complete asshole, but he made a good point. There's no way to stop that, to protect yourself. It's the internet. Somebody can get on the internet right now and say, yeah, this person did this and did that, and he buried, you can just say anything. And some people will believe it with no evidence or nothing because they want to believe it. They want you to go down. They're miserable. They're poor. They're not working. They want to see you lose everything so you can be just like them. And they were like, man, for one thing, I've never seen somebody so calm under pressure. I said, you're not calm under pressure because you still think that you can control what people think about you. You can't. People are going to think what they want to think about you, and they're usually going to think the worst. Let them. You got to get over it. I had to get over it so I can continue to think about it. Me sitting on a camera, talking into a microphone. I don't know. I could have a small audience today. It could be a way bigger audience a year from now. And guess what's going to happen? Stories. One time he stuck his whole foot in my ass. One time he stuck his toe in my mouth, and then he stuck it in my nose, and I had to lick the toe. People are going to make up stories. Stories. They won't even have any proof that you ever met them at all. They don't have your phone number. They don't have a video or a camera. And, we live in the future right now, but they don't have any of that. But then they're going to make up stories, and some people are going to believe them. And eventually a lawyer is going to contact you and say, hey, what do you want to do about this? Man, take that shit to trial. Let this person prove that I did anything to them. You're going to have to, but you're going to have to get used to that. As long as you want to have money and be in the public spotlight, there's no such thing. When this goes away, there's going to be secret ones that are going to come up where they want smaller amounts. Shannon's going to have to make it known that I'm not a soft target. And what they'll do is they'll find another black man who's coming up who wants to be in the light, and they'll do it to him, and so on and so forth, and yada, yada, yada. If you're a straight man and you're doing anything in life, they can always use women as a weapon against you because they know you like women. That's why if you're a woman or if you're gay, those are hard targets to hit because it's hard to prove a woman is a rapist, and it's hard to, and they don't see gay men being like that also because remember, for it to be effective in the public's eye, the victim has to be a woman. A man can't victimize another man in the eyes of the public. So that's why so now the only people that can survive a lot of this stuff that are still around are either going to be a woman or they're going to be a gay man. But a straight man, they can always come up with something about you. An old girlfriend or somebody you had a one-night stand with or somebody you've never met, like in Bill Cosby case. More than half those women have never even met him in real life. And they didn't know that until they actually investigated. The things are going to have to change. Marriage laws. We're not living in the 30s. Women are not victims. Women can work. Women can vote. Women can speak for themselves. Child support doesn't even make sense anymore. Women can work. Child support made sense in the 1930s. It don't make sense in 100 years later in 2025. It doesn't make sense. Alimony made sense in the 1930s because women couldn't work or vote or drive. Women can do all three. They're not actually good at working and they're not good at driving, but they can still do it. So these laws have to change. They're outdated. I like freedom of speech law, even though that's old. I like Second Amendment. That's old. These other laws were created in a time when women could not work. And these laws have to be updated to account for that. They have to. But again, these women are not victims. I'm glad my brother got these text messages. Big Unc got the text messages. I want you to put I want you to go on Fido.com. Actually, I want you to call. I want you to log on to Rover.com. I want you to find a used dog collar and I want you to put it around my neck. Do you know how degrading? Do you know how much of a sub you got to be because you want somebody to put a dog collar on you? That's one step from you licking water out of a dog bowl. I don't know if it's like a brand new dog bowl, but I'm just saying the dog bowl in general. That's a super sub. And guess what? Somebody's that low on the sub scale. They want somebody that's going to be dominant. I'll choke you. I'll slap you. These are extremes. It's a dynamic. Just because you're not in that dynamic doesn't mean other people can't do it. It's legal. It's legal for her to ask him to put a dog collar on her and choke her. It's also legal for him to say, you want me to choke you, don't you? I might choke you in public. He hadn't even seen her after that. And he's not really choking her in public. This is what she wants to hear. That's their relationship. That's what gets her off. You know, like I've had a girlfriend before, like, Rico, I want you to choke me, slap me when we're having sex. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm a big dude. I got big ass hands, bitch. If I slap you and, you know, you might see my print for like a week. And then what if you don't like me in 6 days from now? You can go take a picture in the bathroom and say, look what Rico did. Rico. And they just take him. Now I'm like, can you explain this? Sir, Your Honor, Your Majesty, the bitch told me that's why you got to record everything. Record her asking you to slap the dog shit out of me while I got a dog collar on. So now this is not even a figure of speech. Literally slap the dog shit out of me. Man, I'm glad he got these text messages. How you going to try to sue me for choking you when you literally said you want me to choke you? Everybody's glossing over that because they want to see Shannon go down. Because Shannon's their competition. He's their competition. He's their client. They're gonna need another Shannon Sharpe when this is over. Stephen A. Smith, competition. Happy as hell to see it. Happy as hell to report it. Shaq offered to pay money for anybody that had any dirt on him. Any dirt on him, Shaq had money. Listen. This is Matt Barnes speaking. Matt Barnes is another ex-athlete commentator.
Shaq said he's paying $2 for information on our boy. So, I don't know if you're on that kind of time or not. But Shaq is known without large sums of money around. So, just want to put that out there. I ain't quiet.
Shaq's putting money to get information on Stephen A. Smith. I mean, on a fucking Shannon Sharpe.
He said, please, please, please keep it quiet. He said that did some shit back to him a while back. He's been awful. So that's why he's doing this. But please, please, please keep his name quiet.
Yeah, it's not gonna be that quiet. You got the single boyfriend. You got right-wing Rico reporting on it. Obviously, it's not it's not that much of a secret, but it just shows you people are recording phone calls. So if you're really out here abusing women, you're gonna get caught. But if you're also abusing women, if you're not abusing women and they accuse you of that, it's gonna be proven not to be true because there would be evidence. Dude, we are niggas, bro. We're big dudes. If I'm with a woman and I slap her in her face, her Cheerios they're not gonna taste the same tomorrow. If a man my size is choking you and trying to hurt you, you're not going to make it tomorrow, that you're not going to be up walking around in normal. That's not going to happen. So again, it's easy to lie on somebody, but it's also easier to prove your innocence as well.
To that. Mm-hmm. Have you guys talked? We have Shaq feels the way he feels, and he's perfectly fine to feel that way. I said what I said. I still think Shaq is a phenomenal basketball player, even though, he minimized my career. I'm fine. The thing is,
wait a minute. That's not part of the, I guess, I don't know. I don't know what that is. Let me see what this is. I don't want to record the music.
I don't like Shannon Sharpe. Holy, that's a good one. Where's that beat step from? Oh.
Yeah, I don't know where the whole Shannon Sharpe Shaq beef comes from. And be honest with you, it doesn't really matter to me. I think that's shady as hell that you're looking for evidence to try to get this man arrested or sued by asking for people to give him dirt on you. That's just shady as hell. And it's unnecessary. I can see if he was trying to counter something that, he was doing to Shaq, but he said, bro, I still think Shaq's a phenomenal player. He didn't even throw any dirt on Shaq's name. So that's just crazy that somebody will want to see your downfall that bad. But again, they're competition for one another. They're competition. He wants that same spot that Shannon Sharpe has just been elevated all of a sudden. Since that whole interview with Cat Williams, Shannon Sharpe blew up. He blew up. And now everybody want to make it seem like this is some kind of big deal. It's not. And remember, this is the same lawyer that just lost the lawsuit against Jay-Z. Now coming after him, he's about to take a double loss. Busby going to have to let some people go. If you work for Tony Busby in Texas, you're going to have to be facing some layoffs soon, because he's basically an ambulance chaser. People that aren't really injured, and you're like, look, say this is hurting, say that is hurting. These are women who are not victims. Say he did this, say he did that. And I don't care what these lawyers are saying. They don't follow the Hippocratic Oath, and they're also coercing women to come up with these stories. But when you press the woman about it, like in an interview, like what happened with Jay-Z, the stories don't match up, and they admit that they were lying and they were coerced into saying these things. So it's no different. It's the same thing. It's sad. And then you see who your peers are, and you think they're your friend. The whole time they've been preying on your downfall. But let me tell you this. Don't ever think that Stephen A. Smith won't get accused. You think it won't happen? You think, because he only dates black women, that he'll be okay? I don't even know if he dates black women. Who knows? I don't even know if he's married or not. It doesn't matter. You can still get accused. Even if it's somebody that it turns out you've never met, they're mentally ill, and they're from another, they were never in the same building as you. But the allegations are going to be out there for a few months. And people are going to always remember the allegation. They're never going to remember the part where it got cleared up. I have to tell people that the Jay-Z lawsuit was dropped, and that he was, and that basically he's actually suing them for defamation. People don't even know that. They have no idea. They're like, oh, really? I thought he was still being, no. They only know the negative. Because they don't promote that part of it, because that means they were wrong. It means they were wrong. So yeah, people that live in glass houses shouldn't throw bricks, but they're not thinking ahead. They're not using foresight. Stephen A. Smith, again, talking bad about Sharpe, Shaq going against them, but guess what? They'll have their turn. We all will. I've been through it a couple times, so I know what it's like. I watched what academics went through. Something like that went through with me. The only thing that saved me was the fact that I videotape and record everything. Everything. And I mean everything. So anybody that knows me knows this. I'm transparent. People think I got money and they want to do this and this, bro. I work like everybody else. I work. So, but these are women who don't have anything. They're just, all they have is their looks. And the older they get every day, the more those looks fade. The wall is unforgiving. What does she do after she hits the wall? No one will marry her, and no one wants to get her pregnant on purpose. So then what is she going to do for money? She's been dodging work her whole life. She's trying to find somebody to come up off of. That's how she was raised. But just unfortunately, American culture teaches you not to find a man, but to just do your own thing and go out there and sleep with whoever for however many years. And then hopefully somebody will want you when you hit the wall. And that's that. They're lying to you. No one's coming. You see some of the most beautiful black women, so most beautiful, they're in their 40s and 50s and no one's coming to marry them. A man will take, yeah, you got a lot of money, but you're older. A man will take a broke 21-year-old chick at Wendy's over you. She has vitality. She's young. She can have kids. And a lot of the stuff she's never done before. Her first time flying to Miami is with you. Her first time going to Puerto Rico is with you. Her first time going to these restaurants is with you. These clubs with you. These older women, bro, what are you going to do? You can't take them anywhere new. They've already done that all. They've done it all. And everybody done them. You don't want that no more. So what do? They have to find ways to make up a story about you. Hopefully you're going to have to pay them. And what they're doing is they're trying to teach younger generations of women that this is the way. And it's not. It really isn't. Put a big black baby in me. Definitely gave slave role-playing energy. I don't know how you got that from that lady, but you have some weird slave fetish going on. Yeah, none of us wanted to know this about Shannon Sharpe's sex life. I didn't ask for it, but we're here. And as men, it's imperative that we learn from the mistakes of other men. But in this case, I don't think Shannon Sharpe made any mistakes. He recorded everything. He kept everything on record. And he's fighting back. And he's showing proof and let the public decide. And guess what the public did? The public said, we're on Shannon Sharpe's side. We don't believe any of the stuff that this lady is saying. The case is already over, in my opinion. It's over. Choke you in public. Who gives a fuck? She literally is asking you to put a dog collar around my neck and choke me. Case over. It's dismissed. We're done. Do me a favor, like and subscribe to Single Boyfriend or the Single Hubby on Twitter. I'm Single Boyfriend on Instagram. Share the video, like the video, and just understand eventually it's going to happen to you, and you have way less money. But what you're going to need to do is make sure you've kept records. Stop letting women convince you that, oh, I don't want to be on video. Well, then you don't want to hang out with me. You don't want to be at my house. Go home. I don't want to be on videotape everybody. Don't trust anybody. You know, basically pretend that you're living in the Truman Show and record everything you're doing. It's your life. People sometimes want to wear a mask because they're about to rob you. They don't want to be on video. You know, same thing with these women too. They got something to hide. Be careful. You know, and it doesn't matter. Again, he should be able to, she's a grown adult woman. He should be able to date who he wants to without fear of being taken advantage of or robbed or threatened. He shouldn't have to live in fear just because he's a man. That's wrong. It's not fair. And I'm not going to stand for that. I don't believe in victim shaming. And right now, Shannon Sharpe is the victim. So like and subscribe, share the video, and I will be back. We have another topic coming up in about 30 minutes. You click one of these links to one of these other videos below. And I appreciate it. And I'll talk to you guys shortly. Follow our sponsor, cosigning.com. If you're looking to move to an apartment, but your credit's a little low or your income's low, and you don't want to ask a friend or a family member for help because that could strain your relationship, our sponsor, cosigning.com, can match you with a cosigner to help you acquire your dream apartment. So visit them today, and we appreciate your time, and thank you very much.
I've been needing to find a new apartment, which has not been easy with credit as bad as mine. Luckily, I found cosigning.com. They connected me with a cosigner who helped me get my dream apartment for me and my dog. I just paid a small fee and was able to move in fast. Get the cosigner you need for the apartment you want. Check out cosigning.com today.